Okay, a couple more things before I let you guys go. I'm not going to do a guitar of the week this week. I think this video is probably going to run a bit long if I start doing a guitar of the week, and also the influences. We'll wait till maybe next week to get back to influences. I want to show you guys the pile though. Here's what I'm facing down right now. I'm facing down a summertime with an uptick in family outings and family things, and I've also got what I counted at last was 14 different projects in line here. If you guys have sent me things or brought things over to me locally, please know I am getting to these things one at a time. I'm sometimes a very slow, deliberate worker when it comes to projects, and I like to do things, take things slow and do things right if I can. But I've got a lot of things coming up. I've got right down there's a suitcase with an old reel-to-reel tape recorder. I'm going to be doing a preamp on that soon. There's a couple of conversions here up after that. I've got a late 70s Marshall JMP 2204 that's going to get done. That's going to be a cool one. I've got a couple of Fender amps. I have a concert. This is from a local guy. I've got another Fender there, I think is a deluxe reverb if I remember correctly. I've got a Mesa Boogie under there. I've got another Mesa Boogie after that. I've got another amplifier up here. And these are generally speaking or more or less in order. And then I've got 1, 2, 3 more projects back there in boxes of things coming up. So a lot of things coming up, a lot of cool things coming up. If you guys are not already subscribed, you're going to really be missing out on some of this stuff that's coming up. This is going to be really cool. But to finish out this Shitpost Friday, I thought I would show you this. A local lady named Joy messaged me the other day and said she had seen this guy selling a box of tubes locally here in Louisville, and he was only asking, get this, 15 bucks for this box of tubes. This old Westinghouse TV and radio service box. This is one of the coolest boxes that I've seen, actually, and here's why. This thing has a tube pin straightener built in, so you can straighten your 9-pin and your 7-pin tubes. So, you know, what you do is if you have some that have bent pins, you just drop them down in here like this, and you press them in a couple times and wiggle them, and that straightens your pins for you. Does it for 9 and 7-pin. But this thing was chock full of tubes, and they were all just thrown in here. And I've kind of done my best to start trying to sort these out into types. But just the box alone is so cool. I mean, look at that graphic, the Westinghouse. And this is a really tall one as well. I have a couple of other tube boxes also like this from this sort of era. And they are much shorter, so you can't fit quite as many larger tubes in the bottom. So this is a really nice one. Some of the cool things that were in here. Property of Louisville Gas and Electric. I wonder if they'll want it back. That's a cool pencil. I love seeing old things like that. Also, check this out, what I found on the bottom. It's an old style. You guys will know what this is. This is a pop can top. What you would do back in the old days, or beer can. Aluminum cans weren't made the same. You had these pull tabs, and you would pull the tab off, and the whole thing would come off, and then these would get discarded, and people would step on them at the beach and cut their feet, and I guess ducks would swallow them or whatever. But they were just kind of an environmental hazard. So the industry changed to the current style of pull tab, which stays on the can. And that's an interesting engineering feat. If you ever are interested, I'm going to put a link down in the description. I think there's a video on YouTube of how they engineered the modern pull tab for, or it's not a pull tab, but it's the opener for aluminum cans. Definitely an interesting thing and a blast from the past if any of you guys remember these things. I kind of remember them. I think I was born in 1977, and people still had, you would still see a lot of these kind of around. Every now and then you would see one on the ground or whatever, you know, that had been there a while at the park or whatever. But not so much anymore. You don't really see these. So that's an interesting thing to see. So I'm going to go through these tubes kind of and you tell me whether my $15 investment was a good one. All of these tubes up here that are along the top, these are all kind of tubes that would be useful in radios and televisions, radio restorations it seems mainly, but that are not really suitable for most guitars. You never see them in guitar amps. Then down here we have Loctile type tubes. There's a bunch of Loctiles right in there. So again, mainly radio restorations is where you would use those or see those used. A pair of 6F6Gs. So that would be nice for radio. I've got this big bat. Look at this thing. Look at this. I have never in my life seen a tube like this. This is a Jan 576A. I guess that's the tube designation. I have no idea what this is, but this is the coolest looking freaking tube I think I've ever seen. United Electronics Company. Everything about it is awesome. The graphic, the style of tube, look at that. It looks like something in Frankenstein's laboratory. I haven't even looked it up yet, so I don't know what it's used for. I guess I should have done that before making this video. But yeah, I'm going to look this thing up and see what this is. But that's just a super cool and huge. This tube is, I mean, here's a 6v6. So huge compared to most tubes. Here's another one that's an interesting one. What is this? A Jan CDZ 3B28. There's a little piece of glass inside. I don't think that's probably not going to affect the functionality of it. But another really cool looking tube. Electronic Enterprises Incorporated. But these are definitely specialty tubes. That probably has some kind of maybe radar transmission or something like that. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but those are some interesting ones. Now along this line we have rectifiers, and we have there's a Type 80 old style rectifier with the 4 pins. Here's there's a Jan 5R4. We've got 5Y3s. We've got 5U4s. Bunch of 5U4s. There's a 5Z3 of another 5U4 Coke bottle, a 5Z3 right there. A couple of 5Y3s, and looky here, Amperex 5AR4/GZ34s, 2 of them. That's a cool pair of tubes. We've got some other ones like the 25W4s, so those will be for series filament. More 5Y3s down there too. There's some 6-volt rectifiers right there. 6X3s, I guess they are, or 6X5s. 35Z5. Here we have a bunch of power tubes. So we've got 35Z5, 25L6, things for series filament. But then we've got some cool stuff like this. 6L6G WGB. That's a 5881, and that's a pretty sought after tube if you know what that is. That's an old style 5881 made by Tungsol. It's an original Tungsol 5881 Joint Army Navy that was just in this box. So nice tube. There's let's see, 35L6. So we've got a few of these that can be used in series filament amplifier restorations. We've got a let's see, that's labeled Wurlitzer 6L6GB. Look at that. It's an old 6L6, probably RCA made. Yeah, I'm guessing that's RCA made right there. There's a 6L6GA Coke bottle here. Another 6L6GA Coke bottle. That's a National Union. We have a, looky here, RCA black plate RCA 6L6 GC right there. Look at here. Here's a pair of black plate RCA 6L6 GCs. There's a 6L6G Coke bottle, Sylvania. And these are all dirty, but they probably function. Now, you know, this could be all bad tubes, but the thing is about tubes, and especially about these old tubes, the standards for what was a bad tube back in the day, when you could get tubes relatively easily, was different than what you would say today. I mean, if I had an old amplifier and had one of these tubes in it, and the tube it measured maybe a little weak, but still sounded great, I would just leave it in. But back in the day, you know, if they took one to the drugstore and it measured weak, they would have a tendency to just replace it. This one is a 6L6, what does it say? WGA. That's a Sylvania. 6L6 double, you can't read it, but it says WGA. So that'll be like a 58, probably I guess 5881 also. But that's an interesting tube right there. I don't think I've ever seen a 6L6 like this. The proportion of between the base and the glass is just way different than your typical 6L6. Look at this. Here's your typical, you know, old style black plate RCA 6L6. But look at the size of the base on this. That's an interesting 6L6. I've never seen anything like it. This is an 8417. Here also are a couple of 8417s. These are replacements for 6L6 style tubes. Also, you have to rebias your amplifier, and you have to do, I think, some modifications in certain amplifiers to make them work with the, I think the screen voltages are different perhaps. I can't remember for sure. But 8417, you can look them up. These are highly sought after. They're rare. 8417s, and here I have 3 of them. 3 GE, and one of them looks to be new old stock. Just, I mean, for $15, all of this. And as soon as I saw it, went and saw it, I was like, yep, I will take those. And I ran over there, man. 1625. A 1625 tube. Here's a pair of them. Or no, pardon me. There's a 1625. And that's an 807. So look at that. Nice old RCA 807 tube. Look at there. Eat your heart out, hi-fi enthusiasts. But yeah, this one here, this 1625, those are also early substitutes for, they're kind of 6L6 like, but they have the top connection there. 7027A right there. That is an industrial 7027A, if I'm not mistaken, is an industrial version of a 6L6, and I've got 3 of those. 3 7027A RCAs from the golden era of tubes. This whole line right here, this is all 6 V6 family of tubes. So most of them are 6V6, but every now and then you'll get like a little 6F6 or 6K6. There's a couple of those in here, but they're most of these are all 6V6 on this line. Got a ton of those. Hell, just one of them is worth $15 to me, probably. And then this line down here, this is all octal preamp tubes. So you've got your 6 SJ7s, your 6 SQ7s, all that kind of stuff. 6 SJs, 6 SQs. These are all really useful tubes for me because I do a lot of amps from the 50s and even back into the 40s, and all of those amps will use these style of preamp tubes typically. So that's a good score. All these power tubes is a freaking awesome score. rectifiers out the wazoo, and even the Loctile tubes and stuff. I mean, you can't go just anywhere and get Loctile tubes all the time. So if I get a radio set or something with Loctile tubes, I'm going to need those. And then I've got, you know, I haven't even finished sorting them all yet. I've even got some more still on the bottom, so I don't even know what I'll run across. It looks like I've gotten most of the big power tubes though. But yeah, these here, a couple of these are probably I would consider gold. I've got some, I do have some 9-pin preamp tubes here. I've got a, let's see, that's a 6BL8, 7247, made in Great Britain, so that's from the Mullard factory. That's a was in a Bogan amplifier at some point. Let's see what we have here. That's a ECC 81, so that's a 12AT7. Nice 12A RCA 12AT7. Let's see what we have here. There is an RCA ECC 83 12AX7 right there, and I think this is made in Great Britain. So that is a Mullard factory RCA labeled 12AX7 right there. That's a nice, I bet that'll sound killer and something if it works. And man, if it does work, you know, I mean, do you know how much just that one tube right there, if that's a good tube, just that one tube right there could bring $50 or more anyway, easily. You know, it's crazy what some of these old tubes sell for, but then again, on the other hand, it's not crazy, because if you know what the difference is, you know what they sound like. There is a difference, guys. There's a difference between tubes. I've made some videos in the past displaying that, you know, doing some tube cycling, some tube rolling, and this one has got some, see how those pins are bent? Let's go ahead and straighten them. We'll use our pin straightener. What you do is just run it in and straightens your pins. Cool beans. Look at this. Amperex Bugle Boy 12AX7. Another one right there. That's a potential gold mine. I mean, that's easily worth twice what I paid for this entire thing. Just that one tube. This Compactron right here, these GE Compactrons are very highly sought after in some applications because they are rare. This is a 6AC10. Now a lot of these Compactrons were used in television sets, and you know, they will have like, see those three, you'll see like three plates in there. There's 1, 2, and 3. There's probably 3 triodes in this same envelope, and this was GE's way of trying to cut down on the number of tubes in a device like a television, because you know, some of the televisions from the late 60s particularly, if they were full of features, they would have a lot of stuff in them, a lot of tubes, and they were trying to cut down on that. But you also got companies like Ampeg who would use Compactrons in their amplifiers toward the late 60s as well. So some of these are useful in amplifiers, and looks like I have a couple of them. I think that's a Compactron too. Let's see what else we have here. I've got there's another 12AX7. That is a GE. Let's see. Yep, that's a GE 12AX7 right there. It's labeled Motorola, but it's made by GE. Probably here in Kentucky, actually. I didn't look at the code. There's a 6GH8A. I've made guitar amps with that amplifier before, or with that tube before, rather. 188-5. This is from the GE factory in Owensboro, Kentucky. And it is a 12AU7. And then I've got a few other oddball tubes over here as well. A couple other little things, but But yeah, man, very nice score. Cool graphics on this box. I love this box. And this is what you would do with these boxes. Here's where you would stash all your preamp tubes. Go in these top bins. And there's another one on this side that you can open up. So all your little preamp tubes go there. All your bigger power tubes go down there. And this thing is taller because it's probably older. This is from the era when you would have tubes that were big. I mean, like the big Coke bottle tubes. And, you know, the boxes for these are huge. So you'd have to be able to stand them all up on the end and be able to read them. And as time wore on, as the power tubes got a little bit smaller and more compact, they stopped making boxes this tall. And you would see them a little bit shorter. But very cool, awesome box. This one also has, look at this. I didn't even show you this. In addition to the pin straightener, this has a built-in, and this is riveted on, so this is original. A filament tester. Westinghouse filament tester. And you what you do is you plug it in. I don't have the plug, but I could probably make one up. But you plug it in, and let's see, what does it say? Neon goes out if the tube is good. But I don't see any kind of neon light or anything, so I don't know. Maybe it's down inside here and it shines from inside. Oh, no. It's over here on the side. There's a neon bulb over here on the side. Interesting. So this is a way to test the... What is it? Neon goes out if tube is good. Well, that's weird. Maybe it's just testing filaments. Yeah, that's all it's doing. It's just testing whether the filament is good. But how does it know which pins are the filaments? I don't know. That's an interesting little tester, though. Very, very neat that it's, you know, it came with the box. So very cool box. A whole bunch of really cool tubes. Very cool score. But anyway, yeah. So that my friends, is all for Shitpost Friday. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit subscribe down below. And for now, we'll see y'all later.